There we go. Perfect. All right. So now I can check out your comments that you put in there. I got everything smoothed out with YouTube. It for some reason didn't say that I was live, but I hope that you guys heard what I had to say. I'll check the recording afterwards, and we'll see what it says. So that's Bitcoin. Let's take a look at Ethereum. There we go. Excellent coffee this morning. So Ethereum staying up above the 200-day, excellent and bullish, and it's also positively sloped, unlike the 200-day for Bitcoin, which actually flattened out and dipped off a little bit. Overall, I don't think that that's going to matter for Bitcoin. Even though that signals there, I think that the overall momentum that Bitcoin is going to take on in the next bull run, I think it's just going to wash that out and it's going to turn around back to a positive slope. We are trading above the 50 and the 200-day, and we can see the 50, this blue line, starting to flatten out, and it might actually start turning back around for us. We'll see how it goes. Ethereum has moved right back up to resistance right around the $2,400 mark. So breaking over that resistance will be excellent confirmation that we're moving forward with the price action and then moving on to higher prices. I think we're going to hit pretty heavy resistance there in the meantime. So we'll see as it plays out here. We've had incredible strength come in over the last few days for Ethereum. We're back up at an RSI of 60. So remember, anything over 50 is considered to be bullish. So we tagged that just a little bit right in here before dropping back down into bearish territory. And the RSI is much better for when you have strongly trending movements. And right here, gaining that strength, there's going to be much better to see what's taking place. So if it does go up above 70, then we're looking at overbought territory, and you might have a little bit of a sell-off after a run like we've had, where we've had these straight up days all the way since it was the 20th. There we go, July 20th. It is natural for it to settle a little bit. All right, Bitcoin prediction, miss opening. Good morning, Robert. Good morning, Bill. Yeah. Lucid, we're going to check those out today too. They should be trading under the new ticker. Would be absolutely awesome. Google already stopped recognizing CCIV, but it hasn't yet recognized when I have it set up in my portfolio spreadsheet. It hasn't yet recognized Lucid. That usually takes there's usually a day or two of lag that you have in between. All right. So for Ethereum, onto that next movement. Short term, we might rest a little bit. I think that we're going to see some good support coming out of the 50 and the 200 now that we're trading above both of those. And that is good to keep that support nearby to that resistance. And then we'll see who wins out. I think the bulls have a really good shot this time of winning out over the bears finally and pushing up into those higher prices, maybe bringing us back up to about that $2,700 mark that we have over here, or maybe even getting back over 2,800 like we had earlier on back here. There we go. And now that I see some comments coming in, Rob will address what we have about Bitcoin. All right. So, Bill, short term, I think we're going to see today sort of as a resting day for Bitcoin. But I think that we're going to start overtaking this $41,000 mark in the near future. According to what we have the RSI here, and if we can stay above 50, then we have a really good shot at breaking that resistance at 41,000. And let me zoom out a little bit more. So we have those tops more or less even around $41,000, $42,000. So that's some pretty heavy resistance that we have, but breaking above that, we have a decent amount of room throughout the 40s into the looks like about the mid 40s, so about 44 up to 46,000 before we start hitting these previous lows that we have. If we can break over those, then by then we certainly know that we have some absolutely awesome price action taking place. And those predictions that we saw all throughout the end of 2020 and through Q1 of 2021 and beginning of Q2, before we had the sell-off, when everybody was talking about Bitcoin 80,000, 90,000, 100,000. If people start waking up and realizing the possibilities that we have with cryptocurrencies, and I don't say people like the people who are already following, because I feel like they're already aware of the potential and they're just waiting for everyone else to recognize it. So we have a lot of institutional investors wanting to have exposure not only in Bitcoin, but throughout the crypto markets as well. And DeFi is progressing in ways that I think that it's just going to be a clear winner over traditional centralized finance methods, like especially cutting down from that clearing time that we have a T+2 down to T+0. That being instantaneous transactions, especially through smart contracts. And I think Ethereum, being sort of the leader and the pioneer in those ways. There's going to be incredible momentum here. The Bitcoin ETFs, I think, are going to be the big driver. So when we heard predictions of like 80 to 100,000 by the end of 2021, some of that comes from the stock to flow model, which has been followed pretty. Let me see if I can pull it up here for you quickly. There we go. This will load in just a moment here. Maybe. All right, there it is. All right, so when you look at the stock to flow model, you can see that we deviated pretty significantly from it. But should we make it back to that stock to flow model and look at the other times that we deviated from the stock to flow model that has been established for us, anytime we had a deep dip away from the model, we've come rallying back towards it and even surpassed it. So this next bull run, according to what we've seen in the past, if we can continue into the present, especially with the broader adoption that we have and the ETFs coming on the way, ETF approval should be a whole lot of buying pressure for us. That could be the thing that, look here, this is September 21st, or sorry, September 23rd, 2021, at 85,000. So moving on to December. There we go. So like January, when they talk about like $80,000 for that Bitcoin price, if this model holds, and it's held so far, and it's been a pretty accurate prediction for the price action that we see with Bitcoin, if this does continue to hold, then we are at that 86,000. And like I said, we have the catalysts there. We have the popularity. We have the demand there. We just need the price to follow. And, hopefully we get that turnaround soon. We can start to see some of that turnaround happening here. It looks like a lot of what we had happening back here. And let me see if there's some other turnaround zones that are similar. A little bit of what we can see right there as well. So this is one to check out. It's one to read about. And then it also talks about the days till the next halving. And you can see right now, according to the color, we have like 1,000 days or so left. So that's between 2 and 3 years from now before we get that halving. And so when you look at the price for the halving, that's in that deep purple, then you can see the price action ramping upward from after that. So that would bring us to our next peak around in here. All right, what time we got? We got about 9:27. There we go. So about 2.5 minutes until market open. Good morning, Angelito. So Robert, when I hear 80 to 100,000, I don't know that it'll get there, but I could believe it if it would. I mean, think about the incredible price movements that we've already had with Bitcoin and how many times it continues to surprise people with how much it has already run up. And I know things can't run up forever, but those run-ups were before that mass popularity really even hit. And I would say the most recent time, we're actually not going to see it on that one. We're going to have to look at it here. The most recent time is just further evidence of what happens to take place in Bitcoin really grabbing hold in a very public way and broadly across the globe. And those are things that are going to really keep this price pumping over time, especially as it actually becomes like broadly useful to people, not just something that is speculative at this point. So those are my thoughts on Bitcoin, and I think I'll leave it alone for now. I just wanted to show you some of the price action that was there. I guess I should have stayed on the other one. That was a better view for price action. So used to looking at the candle charts, but we can zoom out here to see a little bit more. There we go. It actually has a fairly good level of zoom. And if we take that off, you can see some of the other spikes that we've had in the past leading up to where it is now. All right, let's check out Lucid, see how they're doing. There we are. All right, we'll zoom in a lot for this one. Too much. There we go. All right, let's check out the pre-market on them. There we go. So it looks like we have a lot of ups and downs here. So what I said about Lucid in the past few days was holding somewhere about low to mid 20s. I would say is about right for right now, especially that they're pre-production. They put out their test vehicles. 86 seems to be the number that comes to mind. Maybe it's 68. But they made a few vehicles already that they're testing out, that they're working out those bugs. Then they'll put them into production in the second half of 2021 here. And that'll lead to deliveries. And those are both catalysts that we're looking forward to from coming out of Lucid. And of course, we could get news from Peter Rawlinson, the CEO, who would tell us a little bit more about it. But yeah, I think that right now we're right about where the price should be for now. By the end of 2021, they hit those productions and they start getting the deliveries out. We could easily see this go into the high 20s and then up into the 30s. We're just going to have to see the demand that's out there and you know just how excited people are once they have them and start reporting on the driving and seeing that popularity play out. I think that'll do a lot to determine what's going to take place for Lucid. All right. Let me see what else we have here. Actually, what do we got? Ooh, hey, the market's open. All right, so let's go to one of my good friends, Neo. So Neo coming with some of that trouble that that China's just going to continue to have, and trade tension with China have been going on as long as I can remember. That there's always been some sort of news about some sort of, and they're just they're two huge economies that are just going to be battling it out. The United States and China for economically speaking, first place. So being that biggest market in the world, and you know who's going to come out on top, and you know there's huge things to gain from it. There's not going to be we'll call it a synergy between the United States and China, and anybody who would compete in that sort of space who wants to be number one in the economic arena. You're always going to have that sort of challenge. And that's always going to cause some sort of friction one way or another because neither one wants to give the other side any sort of advantage. So those are things that have to be fought for. And, you know, it's just something that's going to continue to be news over time. And so stocks like this, like NEO, or if you're thinking about Chinese stocks, I think it was Didi who's having trouble right now from the Chinese government being heavily penalized for trading on the New York Stock Exchange. You know, NEO, I think, is in a different class now. I don't think that they're going to be penalized the way that DD has been. So excellent little start that we've had from that low opening for NEO, and it's coming right back, getting closer to that close that we saw yesterday. Yeah, Bill, I agree completely. You're going to have those struggles. So anytime that, like I said, you look at the New York Stock Exchange, and you think about stocks that deal heavily with China, you're going to hear about trade tensions, and you're going to have a lot of FUD that surrounds it, and you're just going to see a lot of big movements that also go along with it. All right, let's check on Tesla while we're on EVs. Nice, Tesla back up over 650. Not a bad start to the day. I believe, let me see, I think that they have earnings, so they could be moving somewhat on Bitcoin as the earnings have there. Let me see. Lucid CEO an enviable position compared to Tesla because of its back deal. Oh, yeah. All right. I'm gonna have to check on Tesla earnings. I think the Tesla earnings are they today? Are they this week? Let me just see if they have it right here. I don't want to take a lot of your time searching through these things. These are things I would normally just go and search as soon as you know it came to mind for me. But Tesla should be having a fairly decent Q2 when they come out and report on it. There we go. So let's go out to the daily chart for Tesla and see what we're bucking up against here. So I drew these on before, these lines that you see where they're narrowing in on each other, and it looks like we're still squeezing into a finer point, and that could keep happening. We're up above the 200-day. We're up above the 50 period. Those are both bullish signs for Tesla that we're actually using the 200-day as decent support right now. And this slant line that I have, maybe not too expertly drawn. Let me see if I can move it up a little bit for you. Maybe more like right there would be a slightly better model. There's the competition that we have. As a matter of fact, this one I can even bring up a little bit. There we go. So there's the competition between the Bulls and the Bears. You know which one's going to win, and I think you know, depending on whatever comes out from Tesla for how strong their quarter was, I think that a 7-cent loss is what is being anticipated. I'll have to look at the earnings per share. It's been a while since I looked at it, and I looked at a lot of numbers, and they tend to mesh together overall. But these lines are good lines, and we'll see if they do come out, and if we get a breakout to either side, which way it's going to go. On strong earnings, easily break to the upside. On negative earnings, or poor earnings, I should say, where they fail to beat expectations, we could see that dip significantly, maybe down to this 619 mark again. You know, those are just things to watch out for Tesla. All right, let's see. In light of the Bitcoin news that we have, well, let's check on how Mara's doing. There we go. Decent gap up today. Possibly unsurprisingly, that we see that sort of gap up. Let's look intraday and see how they're doing. Very nice. Super exciting day for them, breaking up over 30. And then today, what did they open at? Looked like they opened at 28.22, and they closed last market at 24. Okay. So yeah, we have a really nice jump up in price for Marathon Digital. There you go. Let's check out Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. Oops, there we go. All right, so I'll zoom out a little bit on that so we can see a little bit more of the price action. So they're back up above the 200-day moving average as well, and it looks like it's acting as fairly good support for us. So right around that $27 mark, and otherwise it seems to be trading fairly sideways. However, we still are moving up. So we're above 200, good. 200 is negatively sloped, but we do have the 50 period coming up to cross over that, to form that golden cross, and our RSI is actually showing us up in bullish territory as well. So I think that we're in decent position there. Let's check out Ethereum Grayscale Trust while we're at it. There we go. Now, the interesting thing about the price action that we see with Ethereum Grayscale, Ethereum Grayscale and Bitcoin Grayscale, Ethereum Grayscale was trading at about 1/100th of Ethereum's price, and you can see most recently, now that it's trading at about 1846, it's no longer tied in that same way, where it's trading at about that 1/100th. It did have some significant dips, and I mean, this thing just really does jump all over. Hang on, there we go. That's what I want to look at now. It looks a little bit more like the charts. All right, so we have 200-day positively sloped, so that's a bullish thing, and we are trading up above it. Also good, and then we'll see that 50 period right now curving down pretty heavily for us. With strength coming back to crypto, we could easily see that getting turned around. We do have on the daily chart here, we have it says bearish, however it is rising. So we had this low down here, which might be our lowest point strength wise, and then rising a little bit, but we do need to come back and break these previous highs, especially to push us back up into the 50s before we really see for Ethereum Grayscale here to enter back into that bullish territory. OEG long term. All right. I don't know if my eyes are dry today or what, but I am struggling to see the text that's on the screen in front of me. Maybe when I exercised this morning, I got sweat on my glasses or something. I don't know. Here, I'll wipe them off. I recently went downtown to get some ice cream with my wife, and I wore my sunglasses, which are not prescription. I don't wear contact lenses at all. My eyes are too dry for that. And ordered ice cream. And we live in a small community. So pretty much everybody knows us. We know everybody. And I could not see who was greeting me at the window. So I had to lean in to be about 3 feet away from their face before I could actually see. And then about 5 minutes later, I was greeted by another person that was there, and I had to go through the same process again. It's just not too fun with poor eyesight. By the way, the clean glasses are helping a million times over here. All right, so Orbital Energy Group. Wow, they've had a fairly straight sell-off. And when on the 20th, big jump up and then right back to status quo. They had another big pop there. Industrials. Energy system. Okay. All right, just wanted to read a little bit about the company. Analyst estimates on it? Well, according to the low analyst estimate, they say that it could pretty much double in price just to get the low one. We've got 3 analysts covering this. So not the biggest of them, level 2 wise. And I know you're asking long term. I'll look long term in just a moment. Price wall around 376 or so. 10, so that'd be triple almost to the average analyst estimate. I just want to see if we see anything for, let me see, today's 26th. Contract chart of communications. All right, so they had some news come out, and so it popped back up on that news, and then it went right back to trading downward like it did. Zoom out a little bit more. Wow, look at that volume. 231 million shares traded. That's incredible. And then tapering off since then. I just want to grab my drawing tools real quick. Go to this one. There we go. Not a lot to go on there, but even I'm trying to catch this low that's here too. It is a good thing that the 200-day is positively sloped. The 50-day is flat to almost a little bit positive. The downside right now is that it is trading below that 200 period. Although we could see it bounce a little bit off this line. What do we have horizontally? Well, right now we're sitting right about support between this low that we have here and this low that we have here. And just around the tops of those. So around 356, 357. If we can stay above that, we're good. If not, then the next one down from that is around 288. And let me see. I mean, they've had a heck of a run. I'm looking at the timeline here. So into the beginning of February, and then, yep, that's what I thought. Right around February 16th is when they had the sell-off, so they must be a smaller company. I'm guessing that they might not yet be profitable. Their financials, there we go. So revenue, let's make it annual. Fiscal year 2020. Well, the good news is, as I look across this, is that their revenue is increasing 20 million to 23-ish million to 38 million. And their year-over-year numbers are actually looking pretty good as well. Their earnings per share, they almost doubled their loss per share from 2019 to 2020. Cash and cash equivalents. Not a whole ton of cash. Lots of liabilities. All right. So I will say this. The revenue is going in the right direction. I don't know enough about the company to talk too much about their earnings per share and describe what has happened. If 2020 was the thing that impacted their earnings per share, if they were doing a lot of investing in order to grow their business that caused them to take such a hit, I would watch their cash burn. If they run out of money, then they have to do capital raises. They have to find some way to stay afloat as a business. So I would watch that cash burn rate since they are not yet profitable and see how long they can hold on, see what they have coming up. So if you know those things about Orbital Energy, it does seem like they're getting more business as the revenue is growing, but they are fairly small. So this is one that's going to be, it's going to have that volatility. I'm guessing that it also has a fairly low market cap to it as well. Let me go to tip ranks. There we go. And we'll check out OEG here as well, just to see a little bit more about the analyst estimates that they put up. we go. All right. They have exactly one analyst that they have here. It'll show up here in just a moment. And they're putting that price right at $7. It looks like 6 months ago there was one for 15, and so it's been almost half that price target of what Craig Hallam had out to be Riley. Initiated coverage last month at $7 per share, saying that could almost double. So this one, you want to see updated price targets over time because it can take more knowledge into account. So the thing is about looking backwards, too far backwards when it comes to analyst estimates, is that Craig Hallam is giving their estimate based on what they knew of the business 6 months ago versus B. Riley taking what they know of the business from just this past month and saying $7. So if I had to choose between the two of them, I would say the 7 is likely something that's a little bit more, we'll say, informed. So, or at least more currently informed than what we saw before. And we don't have a lot of coverage on it because it is a small company, but we do have somebody covering it. 57% success rate with an average return of about 16%. So just some things to consider. You know, you can find out how things are going for them and learn about and how they plan to stay in business, increase revenue. You know, what are the margins going to be like that they're shooting for? How soon are they profitable? Also keep in mind, what is inflation going to be like? Those are things for any growth company that you want to pay attention to. All right. See Lucid jumping around there. I'm going to take another peek at them quick. Just because it's their first day trading as Lucid. All right. So they're still hanging on, still about the mid-50s. Charge point. There we go. Charge point hanging out around the bottom of that slant line that I put on there. And let me see. Around low 22. I mean, I might have to buy a few shares of this. Yeah, because we are sitting right at this support line that I have drawn on here. We're not back down at that $19 per share. But when you look at the analyst estimates on this one, 37.75 being the average out of 8 analysts covering. And tip ranks will give you a little bit more as I type in tip ranks instead of charge point. There we go. What I want to pay attention to here is the dates that they give. So Jeffries from last month, Gabriel from let me see, where's he from? Cohen & Company, Oppenheimer, Roth Capital, Needham, all within the last month, and then 3 analyst estimates, 2 of them being 5-star analysts, or that one's nearly 5 stars. 6 days ago, 5 days ago. So when we look at the most recent ones, 40, 39, 39, 46, 39, like everything is sitting in really pretty positions for having more recent. So that I'm going to base that on its relevance. These analyst price targets that you see and the fact that it's hanging down around that $22. Does any of this take into account that Tesla plans at some point to open up their superchargers or supercharging stations to just any EV? Because if so, that could be something that would be a headwind for ChargePoint and just be something to consider about their ability to capture market share, which is, you know, they have, I think, what are they, 70% of the EV chargers in the United States are ChargePoint. So, you know, they're already there. They're already huge. They're already leaders. And so you have to consider that strength that's there. And Tesla could be part of that formula. Tesla could also be, if they're opening up to just everybody, then how much do they stand to capitalize for that fact? Does that bring in more notoriety to Tesla? Are they going to have some sort of incentivized charging program for Tesla versus non-Tesla? I think free charging for life was a thing for a while for Tesla or for Tesla owners at their supercharging stations. So just some things to think about. All right. What else we got? Virgin. Ooh, it jumped. There it is. I almost got it. I'll just type it in. There we go. Prudential. There you go. Virgin Galactic. All right. So when they're up in the 50s, and I should have taken this as an opportunity, I didn't. When they're up in the 50s, that was a lot of hype, a lot of push that we had going on for Virgin Galactic. I said this is going to come back down, it's going to settle, and it has. And the fact that it actually stayed up above fairly well the 200 day that we have here, you can see that now this red candle did close below. As a matter of fact, the entire body of the red candle is below that 200 day. And so far, we're not breaking it here. So now we have resistance from that. And so we could see some settling for Virgin Galactic moving forward. It's not a company that I really covered. It was one that when I thought about it prior to seeing all of this, I thought it as like a $20 stock. And so if it was one that I was following, then when I saw it at 14, I would have seen that as a reasonable discount. And so that would have been the time that I would have bought some, maybe even around, closer to that $20 mark, but still below it. But watching it go up to 50, which would be almost 60. So it went up almost 3 times of what the stock price that I would have put on Virgin Galactic's, going up to almost 60. If I wasn't already holding it, I certainly wouldn't be somebody who would have stepped into it. Now that it's starting to settle, now we just need to wait for it to find out where that new bottom is and that new base of support before considering any sort of long-term position. It was incredible to watch that ride, and that idea of commercial recreational rides to space. I mean, I would absolutely love to do that at some point in time. As of right now, it's just not for the average consumer. And maybe someday it will be. And, maybe it'll be just one of those things like the supersonic passenger jets that they used to have. They were just noisy and super inefficient. And they're finally bringing them back after something like 30 or 40 years from when they initially had them. They just sort of scrapped them because they were too loud and they used too much fuel. And I think, is it Boeing? One of the plane companies is one of those big manufacturers is looking to making more. So I see Angelita's asking about skills. There we go. All right. $15 per share. Okay, so for skills, a lot of the risk has come back out of the price again for skills. For them, inflation news is certainly going to be something that's just, it's going to continue to be painful. And whenever you're talking about online gaming and you need those viral games that have, huge amounts of adoption, those are the things that are going to, in the gaming part side of it, those are things that are going to be sort of unpredictable. I really think they need to be more excited about this NFL challenge that they have and their platform development. And I don't mean development on the platform. I mean making more robust tools for better gaming experiences and also streamline performance through their platform. They have a lot of room for innovation beyond where they're currently at. And I think that they have a lot of potential. They still are pre-profitability, and it's still a few years off before they believe themselves to be profitable. The NFL thing, I think, is something that I wish they would let us know more about, that sort of competition, because I really think if they really worked on their marketing and really started getting people out there to understand and to know, because honestly, outside of the stock market, skills isn't something that jumps out at me on the consumer side, not necessarily on the investing side. On the investing side, I love it. I think that they have a great business model. I think that they have a really good shot at just becoming a giant. Now, mind you, there's also the risk that they never make it. So I don't want to make it sound like I'm trying to overhype it, because that's not my style. I think that they have a good thing going, and I think that they have opportunities that they're not yet taking. Just some polish that they could put out there in order to really bring themselves to the forefront. I think about Roblox being one of their competitors. Roblox is one that I heard about before it ever IPO'd. As a matter of fact, I heard about it years before, and there was lots of YouTubers that were playing it. If you make it something that's visual and impressive and stimulating, and something that you can really bring those games online and you have streamers on Twitch and on YouTube playing it and showing how it works, especially because they actually do cash payouts to the developers and to the winners of the skills-based games that they have. Those are things that can really help them out over time. And I don't think that it's something that they're just going to just be like, oh, well, we tried. I think that I know that they're working on their platform. It's a matter of the platform improvements that they put out and really making those games a true experience with the added benefit of money for the developers, which incentivizes better gameplay, and also money for the players who actually win the competitions that are being played. I really am excited about the NFL thing. It's going to take us some time to get there. So Angelito says, let me see, down for a good entry. So where are we at here? We're at the daily chart. So let me get rid of this line that we have here, and let's take a look at the lows. There we go. So looking at this across how the lows are trending so far, Angelito, you can see that they're slightly trending upward from $12.40 where it bottomed out. And then where's this? I'll put my cursor over it, right around like $14. So $12 to $14 is like an area of support for us. And then after that, we're back down to like their pre-merger levels of, hovering just above $10 per share. So if this is a stock that you're bullish on, then a good entry would be while it's low towards these levels versus when you see these big spikes for it. As a matter of fact, right now it's starting to trade sideways. We do have to be careful because it is down below. So if we are trading at support, well, then if that support holds, then of course we bounce and we go upwards. If that support breaks, it can start dropping us pretty significantly. So you just have to be careful how you play that. So from its current price, it can go down like 6 or 7% down to the next support. And then it could go down like another like 8% from there down to the next support. So it could quickly fall on us. So really, we just want to watch that. There we go. Let me take a look just to see some of the recent news that we have here. All right, analyst estimates. So analyst estimates, 15 being the low out of 6 analysts covering. We have 4 of them as a strong buy, 2 of them as a hold. Average price target $24.25, the high of $34. Let's go to tip ranks to see how recent those are. Thank you, Bill, for the encouragement. I really like that. I really appreciate that. I mean, I got about half my coffee gone. I also we're remodeling another part of our house. I redid almost the entire upstairs besides the bathroom. And then there was also a porch off the upstairs, and I ripped off like a quarter of my house. I rebuilt that quarter of my house, and now it's just working on the inside. So we're adding a master bathroom and then doing the main bathroom. And when I say we, I mean literally me and my wife. Sometimes my father comes over and helps. He's older though, and he's got COPD, and he will do anything for me. And I really appreciate that. But that also means that he will push himself well beyond where he should in order to do that. So I like when he comes over to help, but he will try and be as active as he was 25 years ago, and it just doesn't work out the same. Sorry for the interruption here, but moving on. Back to the coffee, back to the stocks here. So 3 buys and 1 hold. Wells Fargo says hold this thing. $19 price target, and what we're trading at 15 right now. So we can go up $4 just to that low analyst estimate in the next, that was 2 months ago. So there you go. In the next 10 months, Canaccord Genuity comes out in $30 price target. Citigroup, somewhat recent there. We should get an update on these price targets soon, given those Q2 performances. We want to see if we get upward revisions for these price targets, if we get more buy ratings coming out of this. Really, we want some excellent guidance coming out. So for me, more so than just looking at the results of Q2, I want to know what are they doing with their money? What are they doing with their time? What direction are they taking? How are they going to improve their revenues? And how does that translate to the bottom line? What sort of margin are we dealing with? Those are the sort of questions that I have. And so I really hope, because I don't think they reported yet. Let me bring up Seeking Alpha. That's usually pretty easy to, there we go. So the guidance for a company like Skills is much more. I mean, it's not that their results aren't important, but how they're handling their business going forward from where they're currently at, I think, is really where we need to see that information come out for Skills. And the more they're transparent, the better. So, and what I said, as I bring up transparency, they say I look into the black box. We don't want to have to guess, especially as investors. And this is one that came out on July 22nd. So just something that you want to think about. It doesn't look like we have earnings yet for them. All right. So the last one was on May 4th. So August, there you go, announced date. I was going to say about August the 4th, and it's right here, August the 3rd post market. So that means that next week, we get those earnings coming out. They're saying a loss of about 9 cents compared to their loss of about 15 cents, which missed by 3. So they're expected to miss 12. They missed 15. So coming up, let me see what else you got. They actually had 3 up revisions and 2 down revisions. That sort of washes each other out. Sometimes if you get all up revisions and no down revisions, that can be huge for giving you insight into what to expect. And yet, like if nothing else, it can explain positive price movement leading up to earnings. And so if you see those upward revisions and the price hasn't moved yet, sometimes you can jump on that in the short term and play that out. But this regaining 20s into the mid 20s over the next 12 months, assuming that they give excellent guidance in their earnings, that's exactly what I would look for, is the guidance that they put out. Mind you, we don't want to have absolutely horrible financial results coming out from them, that their revenue just tanked. That'd be horrible. We do want to see a beat, or at least a meet of expectations on the revenue. Looks like it's not expected to be a huge jump, so we'll watch that. All right. Check on my friend Digital Turbine here. This I was asked, what's my favorite stock out there? Digital Turbine is definitely among them from the tech plays outside of EV and renewables. This is just one that I think is going to show incredible strength. And last time I watched this dip below, so Monday of last week, I watched this dip below. I watched it go down to 58. I didn't see it at 57 like it is here. 57, 56 was the low. When I saw it at 58, I was like, all right, I'm buying some. Like, I didn't have any questions. I didn't have any reservations, because one that I actually do follow. And you can see the resistance that it hits right around that $65 mark. It is finding support back at the 200 moving average that we have for $62 a share. And this one just has incredible upside. I think that we're going to see just excellent news coming up about Digital Turbine. And I think that their business is going to continue to play out through their acquisitions, which we haven't. These results for Q2 will be the first time that we see the results of what has taken place as a result of their acquisitions that they have. They did 2 separate ones, or maybe it was 3, but the last one happened, I believe, in March of Q1. And so we didn't see any of the effects of that merger. Of that acquisition when that took place. But now that we're into Q2, we should start to see some of that taking place. Looks like we're hitting a price wall. Actually, well, I said around 65. So the price wall right now is around that $66 where we have. So if we look at these 65. So low 65s, we're hitting a lot of resistance. We have a lot of orders there. We're getting support coming around the mid 64s or so. Yeah. So excellent. So what are we actually trading at right now? 64.86. So about a little over $6 up from where I bought it last time. So that means based on my last purchase, I'm up another 10% on just that money, which actually brought my cost basis down to, I believe, about $64. So I went from being in the red to now now I'm in the green because of the dollar cost averaging approach that I take to a company like this one that I continue to add to over time. And honestly, like where with it somewhat near support right now, actually it's kind of near resistance. I don't know that I'm going to buy more today. Maybe I'll watch how it plays out maybe next week. Like I said, I already have a position, already bullish on it. And the analyst estimates, just to get to the low one at $86 based on the 5 analyst estimates that we have, we still, that's like a 30% upside to the low one. And getting up to the high analyst estimate is, let me see, about a little over a 50% upside to get to there. Tip ranks, my friend. By the way, no problem, Angelito. So for those of you watching who haven't been here before, if you want to see any stocks covered or want me to talk about the charts or anything like that, just let me know. The companies that I follow, I talk more about long term because I know more about them and I'm able to talk long term. And I'm mostly a long term investor. Swing trading is something that I only do when the opportunity is there. That means that one's staring me in the face like, hey, you can't pass this up. So I have taken swing trades from time to time. The most recent one that I did was from Shift Technologies, and that has worked out very well for me. I'll show you that in just a moment. In any case, so right now about $64-ish per share. They're saying about a 66% upside to that 107 on those 5 analyst estimates, and they're not super old analyst estimates. Again, we still want those earnings to come out within the last month. We have a 115 price target and a 105. This Canaccord Genuity that we saw just a moment ago, if it was on skills or if it was on ChargePoint, I don't remember. But there's that 30-ish% upside that I was talking about. So from that hold rating that we have to go all the way back to 9 months ago before the price would get pretty much cut in half. But like I said, that's 9 months ago. It's not most likely. I mean, he has 3 more months. John Hickman has 3 more months for that to come true. I just don't see it happening anytime soon. I think that their business has progressed too far and there's too much of their fundamental value priced in, or I just don't think that we'll see that sort of downside. All right, let's check on, I said I would talk about, there you go, the swing trade that I made, Shift Technologies. So this one, I watched it hit a new low, about 617 it bottomed out at, and I think I bought it at I want to say 646 or 645, so right around there. And I grabbed a hold of it, and I enjoyed that ride. And so one thing that I did, figuring that it would recover, and the used car market is actually doing very well right now. Lots of demand, especially in the light of the chip shortage that we had or that we have going on. The used cars. As a matter of fact, my father-in-law just got offered either $10,000 or $15,000 over book value for his Camaro that he bought. Not over book value, I'm sorry, over purchase price. So he purchased it brand new. So, and the car now has, I think, about 600 miles on it because he doesn't drive it a lot. I think it's a 2020. I'd have to ask him to be certain. It's very recent. But they called him up and said, hey, we know what you paid for it. You know, we will give you 10 or 15,000 on top of that because people want this car and they're offering us this money for it. There's other cars that are just selling very, very well in the used car market because of that demand that's there, and it's being unmet by the new car market. So I picked up Shift around 646. And then now it's up around 861 or so. And you can see the 200-day, we don't really have too many candles closing above it, like the entire body of the candle being above the 200-day. That would be excellent confirmation of support for the 200-day. We have the 50 period curving up to meet it. And what we're really waiting on is for this 200-day to start turning back or flattening out first, then turning back around to go positive. We have some decent strength on the RSI. We do want to put in another peak here to watch this go up. Analyst estimates are pretty good on it. So for me, when I saw this rocking under $7 per share, I was like, that is way too low for Shift Technologies. That will come up. I was thinking mid sevens. The fact that it came back up to mid eights. The only reason that I haven't sold those off again is that I sold a call on it just for some extra cash, just for something that would also help mitigate some of my risk. It was a 750 call is what I did, and that's $1 per share that I would be making as profit for that on top of the $90 that I already took on that. And now at this point in time, people are like, well, but what about that $1.13 or so that you're missing out on per share? So that would be double above, over double what you'd be getting based on the call option that you put out there. Well, I realized that, but I also didn't think that would go up to 863. So green, but not greedy. I guess that's the way that I'll say that one. I don't regret the call that I made or the call that I sold. I think that it was the right move. And if this thing did switch back the other way, then I still would have had some, at least some of my downside risk managed a little bit more, just in the case that I was wrong on it moving forward. All right, let's grab SoFi. There we are. Still having a rough go of it, SoFi. The nice thing is that it looks like they may have finally caught the drop right in the high 14s. Where does that candle take us down to? That one takes us down to $14.14, and that was on May the 13th. So the fact that we almost came down to retest that low that we had on May the 13th, which was like maximum sell pressure from, or maximum sell off from February all the way down to May 13th before these companies started turning back around. That's incredible that we have actually come back down that far for SoFi. And one of the biggest arguments now that we have for SoFi in the fintech world is, has their boom already happened prior to joining the New York Stock Exchange, or is it something that's still ahead of them? And right now we have lots and lots of selling pressure, bringing it back down. And what we're looking for are signs of a reversal. And I don't know that we're quite there yet. Honestly, let it trade sideways for a while. If it's a company that you're bullish on and you're a long-term investor, you don't want the crazy up and downs. Although if they happen, if you are a long-term investor, they're also far less important because long-term investing ignores short-term volatility. So unless you're trading, unless you're investing with like margin or something like that, which is going to usually cost you money and interest, and it also runs the risk of getting margin called. Should you not end up having enough funds in your account to hold that margin position, then you can get margin called and then you get your shares sold off, and that can be bad. So you always want to be careful with those. Trading about $16 per share. We'll see if we start turning around, if we break this double top that we have around 1663. All right. I haven't looked at the loser yet. It's about 10:12. I'll go till about 10:30 or so. And then, so if you guys have anything you want me to talk about, just let me know. I'll absolutely talk about it. There's Snap. Seeing it down just under 2%. It's down just over 1%, might be another way to say it. After that incredible gap up that it had, also incredible volume to go along with it off a wonderful earnings that they've had. That was almost a 24% jump from the previous close that it had. It's well up above the 200-day. It's well up above the 50-day. This could settle and create other buying opportunities. I did have a position in Snapchat once upon a time, and that was back, I think it was back in January. And then when this happened over here, that it went up over $70 per share, I sold my position because I felt like it was too rich at the time for Snapchat and that it would create other buying opportunities. And then I just never really came back to it. But you can see, had I stayed in it, I'd be up a little bit more. So that's one of the nice things for long-term investing. When you find those companies that you have a high conviction in, buying and holding really is like the best, hands down, long-term strategy. When you check success rates, it's because it's so difficult to time the market that buying and holding and dollar cost averaging over time have just proven to be better time and time again. So for me, I mean, I thought I timed it pretty well at the time, and I did, but then I never came back in when the market dipped in March, and when it dipped again in May, I didn't come back to it. And had I come back in like I expected to, not only could I get a lower cost basis you know, for a brand new position. I'm not going to include the other one. I was already profitable on it. That was money in my pocket. But a brand new position, I think my original one was like $50 or $54 per share. I could have come back in the high 40s, lower 50s, and had that ride. And that's if I was able to time it right, because I didn't play it like a long-term hold. Instead, I played it for something that had some pretty good short-term potential to it, and it worked out. But if I held it longer, it could have worked out even better, especially through dollar cost averaging. So just an example. And of course, it doesn't work out that way every time. There we go. Reading a couple of this drone delivery Canada. Let me see if it doesn't come up on here, I can check on. Come up on here. Let me see if we can bring it up on Google Finance real quick. Oh my goodness. One more time. Woo, all right. This must be a tiny one. Just getting a feel for its historical price action. So, in time, looks like it. Where did it take off at? Took off into February and then sold off since then. Okay, so let's go year to date. It's not a good view. All right, so when you look at this, you can see that sell off where the highs kept getting lower, the lows kept getting lower, and then finally this peak happened, and then we didn't settle down as much. We want that low to stay higher, and we want the highs to go higher. So while I can't talk about drone delivery Canada for the long term, we can at least look for some sort of confirmation that is starting to turn things around. So if it did find bottom here around like $1.11, and then where's it at right now? So it's up 10% since then. But if it did find bottom here, I'd say if there was a time that a lot of the risk came out, and knowing nothing about this company, but I would say a lot of the risk versus when it was over 2 times. I'm sorry, no, it's under 2 times where it was now. Let me see. All right, so almost a 50% drop from its peak. That's a lot of de-risking. So this is a company as tiny as it is. I wouldn't go all in, but if I felt like they were one that had some sort of near-term catalyst coming up, that I thought that the price was going to move heavily for a small company like this, that can absolutely happen quickly. But if I was going to take advantage of something like that because of the small size, that it would be susceptible to manipulation because of a low market cap, those would be reasons why I would, if I did trade it at all, I wouldn't be investing it because, like I said, I don't know anything. But if I were going to trade it based off some sort of momentum by some upcoming catalyst or something like that, it wouldn't be more than, maybe if I really felt strongly about it, 1% of my total portfolio to really grab on if I really, really felt. But if I was wrong about it, then, I'm blowing some of that percentage of what I had. So just something to think about. But long-term wise, it has sustained a higher price than what we had back here in November. How much is it up since then? So since November, it's up 25%. That's decent. Like they could honestly hold up above where it was at here, maybe 10% downside from here back down to this bottom price that we had. Just something to think about. Do you play options ever? Matthew, when I get into options is when I think that there's a strong play to be made, and one that I would actually have a lot of high conviction over. So I will buy calls sometimes because I think that the price is going to go up, but I just want to be certain before it happens. And it's it's a nice way because I'm the buyer. I have the right to exercise that call, and then I'd have those shares. Or if it's one that I think is going to, if I'm going to be trading options, which I do even less of, but if I was going to be trading options, it would be where there would be a low price where I think that the market itself, or that there would be some sort of catalyst coming up that's going to cause a lot of volatility with that option, and it would put it in the money and spike the price on it. Those would be something I would consider doing. I don't buy puts. There are some people who do protective puts, but I don't do that. I would consider selling puts every once in a while if I thought, I want this stock, but I only want it for this price. Below this, at or below this price, I think would be an excellent entry price for this stock. So an out of the money put would be something that I would consider selling. It wouldn't be for a huge amount of money, but it would be for a company that I would want anyway. And depending on what stance you take, a call isn't necessarily bullish and a put isn't necessarily bearish. So Matt, if you follow them, if you follow options, then you already know this stuff. For anybody who doesn't, I'll speak a little bit about options. So if you buy a call, buying the call is bullish. Selling a put is also bullish, because what you're looking for is a lower price and you're expecting the stock to go up in value. And then bearish would be selling the call option is typically seen as bearish. Although for me, I do it sometimes just for some money, and then I'll choose it at a strike price where I'd be willing to sell the stock anyway if I was going to do that. So it's not necessarily something that's bearish, but it is seen as bearish. Buying put options is also something else that's seen as a bearish move. So it really depends on what side of the fence that you're on there. Leap options, like what we saw in May, when the prices were just getting, everybody was so darn scared because the prices were dropping so darn low. May was that time to go out and shop for leaps for anything that you had high convictions in. And those a year or more, those 12 months out or more options that you would buy, which gives those companies time to grow over time. So when you buy those leap options as the buyer of a call option contract, so buying a call leap like that, you don't have to buy those shares. So let's say that you bought a leap option for well, I talked about NEO before. I'll talk about NEO. Let's say that you bought a leap option for them for a $35 strike, and it costs you like, let me see, costs you like $1,400 total. So like $14. I don't know what it would be. It would probably be priced higher because that was a pretty volatile time. But what that does, it moves up your cost basis. That NEO would have to trade for, like, I forgot what I even said now, 35, 14, so like $49 per share. So you just need to add on the premium that you paid for that call option onto the stock price, the strike price that you're looking at. That tells you about your break-even point. So if you believe that NEO is going to trade for $60, $70, $80 in 12 months time, or depending on how far out you go with that leap option, January 2022, January 2023, depending on how far out you go for those, if you believe that's going to go up significantly, then if it does, then you just got those at a significant discount. So that's something to consider. And if it doesn't, you risked a lot less money doing it if it fails to meet that strike price. And then if you want a position in the company, you can still go out and buy one from the open market anyway if it fails to meet that strike price. And no problem, Matthew. Anything I can do to help you guys out, and I appreciate the comments, and anything you guys want me to know, want me to look at, you can always just ask, and I'll tell you what I know. I won't know everything, and if I don't know something, I'll just be like, I don't know. And I do tend to look things up, and that's actually one struggle that I have with live streaming, is that when I look things up, I give this this kind of look. I mumble a lot to myself, and I make funny noises, and I usually fidget a lot, usually pick something up and play with it as I'm reading through, and have my thought face on. And I just don't want to do that during the long time for the live stream. I mean, unless you guys like looking at somebody mumbling to themselves, for minutes on end or maybe even hours on end if I'm really interested or something I really need to know about. It's not a lot that I'll do here, at least in terms of researching, but it is things that I like to know, whatever it is. And when I find out that I don't know something, that I tend to look it up. All right. Riot, that's one that I didn't look at yet. They're having an incredible day today. So Riot Blockchain, I actually talked about this in one of my recorded videos a while ago. I think it was even before my wedding. I am going to get back to those recorded videos. It's just been a really super busy time here. So I've been doing the live streams. When did honeymoon, family vacation. There was also the wedding in there. And now it's a matter of getting back into the rhythm for those things. Riot Blockchain, you can see riding along support. Bitcoin has a strong day today. Went up over $38,000 per token. So watching this also take that jump up is something that's to be expected. And when I talked about Mara, Riot, GBDC, and ETH, I said, while the crypto market's down, if you're in the equities market instead, these are ones that you can consider that when crypto does move, these should also move strongly as well. So it was moving downward, so it moved downward. And then today we had a big jump in Bitcoin's price, and Riot Blockchain did not let us down. With that said, before we close, let's close with Bitcoin and Ethereum. All right, it recaptured 38,000, so almost 38.5 from what we see here on WEBULL, and with that RSI looking absolutely perfect. That's what we want to see. I said today, if it's going to rest, it looks like today could be a rest day, and that narrow range doji that we have there, this little rest that we have, if the bears fail in order to push this price back down, if they win, if we get another large body candle that engulfs this previous day's candle that we have, that would be more of a double top resist, and that would be sign of resistance, and that it would just continue to trade sideways like we have been seeing. This narrow range doji is really excellent for us, with the RSI being up over 50, getting close to 70 points. So we have good momentum on it, and we are moving up. Breaking that 38,000 is going to be important for us. If this does hold, tomorrow could be one of those days, especially in the right conditions, that we start to see it start to try and take over that 41 to 42,000 from where it's currently at. So that would be what, about 7-ish% higher than what we have today. So just let me see, 10, yeah. So 7 to 10% higher than what we see it trading at today. So because I'm going to say 41 to 42,000, and after that, then it's making it up to 44. And then we just want to see that climb. It's not going to be straight. It's going to continue to be volatile. And there's also the potential of a bull trap. I don't know that this would be the case. I don't really see it happening right now. But it's happened before. People thought, hey, yeah, now we're in the round, we're in the bull run, and then it drops very hard from there. But support has held very firmly through a lot of the sell pressure that we had, a lot of the shutdown of the Bitcoin miners in China, and then moving off into other areas. And there's just too much positive news and momentum and adoption, and just too much going on with crypto in general for Bitcoin to just fall and stay dead or die off or something. I don't really see that as a reality for Bitcoin moving forward. So at the beginning of this live stream, I believe that it was Robert that asked me for the Bitcoin prediction. And I said stock to flow model says about 85,000 by the end of 2021. And I'm not going to say that it's going to happen, but I will say the conditions are good right now for Bitcoin. Like, it is very favorable for Bitcoin. I don't see it tanking anytime soon. So if those ETFs come out, and if we have a lot of interest in those ETFs, and it puts in a lot of buying and really spikes that demand that we have for Bitcoin, it could just be an incredible day. So those are just things to keep in mind. Closing in on 10:30. Lucid, woo, look at that. They started off the day somewhat struggling. Let's go intraday. All right. Wow. We got excellent volume. We got good price action. You know why this is happening? Here's the exact reason why this is happening, because I said low to mid 20s is about right for right now. and that it would take production and deliveries to really push us in towards that $30 mark. So the market likes to make a liar out of me sometimes, and here's one of those cases where it's making a liar out of me. So thanks, stock market. I appreciate you. I actually do appreciate you. All right. So what do we got? 15 other things about Lucid Motors before it begins trading today on the before it begins trading today on the NASDAQ today. It already began. That says 12 minutes ago. So I wonder what time it was actually put out there. What do we have an hour ago? Peter Rawlinson in, okay, we read that. Debuts on NASDAQ today. We read that. I don't remember if Investor Place gives us a price wall. It looks like maybe they don't. The price walls are super annoying. You can only get so many subscriptions to so many places, and so you have to be choosy about the ones that you get. Reuters is usually pretty big for that, and let me see if there's some of the other ones. PR Newswire is fine. Dow Jones is fine. There's another one out there, Bloomberg. I don't know how I forget Bloomberg, but Bloomberg is notorious for price walls. All right, Lucid Motors went public via merger with special purpose. Yeah, I know that. I also want to see the timestamp that they put on this. So that was at 10:16. Oh, as it begins. I was reading it as before, but it is trading. More than 11,000 paid reservations for the EV. Good. That's more than they plan to produce in 2021. That 500 miles range per charge. EVs, when they first started, I absolutely wanted nothing to do with an EV. Not because I didn't appreciate the potential for positive environmental impact for EV. That part absolutely love. Really back in 2015 is when I really started to buy into the green space, clean energy on a personal level. When I say buy in, I mean I really started to realize the importance of the environment, and you know, because if we don't, I realized, I didn't know why it came to me, but if we didn't have the world, then we didn't have anything. And I actually got called out in one of the comments on one of my videos the one time. I don't remember the word, poser, loser, sellout. I don't remember what they called me for saying that we need the environment first. And then the second thing was that we need each other. We need community. That's only second because if we don't have the earth, then we don't have each other either. So I really do, from the bottom of my heart, mean those things. And I don't care that they got called out for me. Going back to Teddy Roosevelt, it is not the critic who counts. And I also believe that. Now, if it was my brother who called me those names, somebody who I trust and value his opinion, I'd probably tend to believe that I was doing something wrong or that it was happening. But just some commenter on YouTube, some troll. I'm a big boy and I got thick skin, so it doesn't bother me in the least. All right. But anyway, the range on the EVs, getting back to it, and I'm sorry for digressing here, but more than 500 miles travel per charge, that limitation alone was the thing that I was turned off about for EVs at first, was that they were just worse. It just, the range wasn't there, and also the infrastructure totally missing. But with a range of 500 miles, I made one trip in the past, let me see, one trip in the past 10 years that took me over 500 miles in a single direction. Just one. So with a 500-mile range, I could do any of my daily business. I could do any of my other travels that I would do anytime throughout the year, with very special exception. Typically over 500 miles, I'm flying anyway. So hitting a range of over 500 miles, even if you only capture 350 because you didn't get that peak performance out of it, which you probably won't, and that goes for anything, not Lucid. It's definitely not a dig against Lucid. But we just, I mean, my car gets 34 miles a gallon on the highway, but I only get like 24 because I do other driving too. So same thing when you see these ranges here. So you get 350 out of it. That still covers me for any travel that I do throughout the year. And that might not be the case for everybody, but now it's at least comparable and actually coming out to over what a lot of the ICE vehicles are putting out there. All right. Batteries, let me see. Peter Rawlinson, CEO and CTO over 30 years experience. We know that. Okay, so they didn't really tell us too much there. All right, we'll see where this thing starts peaking out here And if we look at resistance 2770, there's a huge amount of sell orders sitting at 2770. And where does that put us on here? Okay. Buy side is actually the bulls are coming in and giving decent support to this as well. So 27.45, we have a lot of buyers coming in. After this sort of candle that we have here, then we could have, some decent support coming in there. That's excellent. Let's look at the daily chart and see where that price action puts us. All right, it's putting us right up to resistance. So let me zoom in so we can see a little bit more of this. And this line that I had drawn on there before was acting as support for a while, and now it looks like it also acted as resist, but also we have this double top here. So about $28 per share. So if this thing turns around 28, fails to break 28 today, or sustain a price above $28 per share, that'd be normal. That would be reasonable. As of right now, I'm not seeing significant news. Maybe it's the 11,000 orders that's moving this, that we keep getting more news about more orders. I mean, that sort of demand on their cars would certainly do a lot to impact the fundamental price that we have for Lucid. So wonderful to see this. By the way, I have a position in Lucid, bullish on Lucid. My initial position was at 18-ish dollars per share. And when it tripled, when it made it up over $54 per share, I sold a third of my position because it was still a SPAC at that point in time. It's still a CCIV, and sold a third of my position because it tripled. So that means absolutely 100% of my leftover position was profit. And it dropped back down like 37 by the time I sold out the rest of it from my initial position. So that was still double what I paid. So absolutely just wonderful price action there. And I was able to buy back into this. I think I'm in like the mid 20s. So I should be in the green right now, but I got to go back and check to see what my cost basis is for Lucid. I almost called it CCIV. Yay, Lucid. All right. Workhorse also having a strong day today. All right. Just want to look at Workhorse. Workhorse is, and I don't want this to sound negative. I think that they try hard. I think that they live up to the name of Workhorse. But it reminds me of when I was a freshman in swimming, and I was always dead last. I'm not saying that they're dead last. But you know how you sort of root for that person who comes in last by like a mile, and you're like, yeah, and everybody's cheering and stuff. I sort of feel like I'm in that crowd right now for Workhorse. They don't have the business to move them forward, but they have the potential there to move them forward, and they have to put that work in to build out over time, and they need those orders to come in. And they took that big hit when they didn't get the USPS deal, because that was something that was driving their price for a long time. And so now it's a matter of, trying to find that in there. So I'm a cheerleader for Workhorse. As of right now, if they trade sideways around that $10 to $11, let them trade sideways, let them find that support. And as the EV space builds out and they progress, hopefully they start to bring in those orders that give us that positive price action that take us back into bullish territory. All right, guys, I'm going to get going. It's about 10:37. As usual, I talk too much, but I really appreciate you stopping by. I have the rest of my breakfast to eat still. I still have the rest of my coffee to drink. The sun's shining bright. Crypto markets up. Stocks are doing well. Lucid currently up over 16%. Riot Blockchain up over 20%. Just a glorious day. And I really appreciate having the opportunity to come here and see you guys stop by. So I hope that you have a great day. I hope that you get to enjoy some of the sunshine. If the sun is shining in your area, if it's nighttime, have a great night. If it's the afternoon, good afternoon. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great day.